Today, I want to show you a different way of thinking about chronic kidney disease, also known as CKD, in a way that enlightens us to understand why this happens. Why do the kidneys continue to slip even though you've got the right food? You're following your vet's advice. Most of us don't know that CKD is an energy disease, and that's why you need the BITE strategy. The kidneys are these bean-shaped organs in your cat, right? Well, did you know that within the kidney, there are also these tiny little bean-shaped little organelles called mitochondria? And that's where the story takes us today. What's going on with the mitochondria? Now, I briefly touch upon mitochondria in my book, 9 Lives, 1 Mission, also in my video course listed down below to help you with your cat with CKD. And I touch upon why the BITE strategy is important for this, why it's gonna help your cat. But now the science is becoming ever more clear of why this is something that you don't want to miss. So we're gonna talk about this research paper that just came out, and we're gonna show how the BITE strategy to manage CKD makes it so you're automatically taking care of this. Mitochondria are the power plant inside of your cat's kidneys. In 9 Lives, 1 Mission, I talk about you've got to reignite the spark. And then I go on to say, this isn't metaphorical fluff. This isn't just an analogy. It is literally what you need to do for kidney health. They are that spark. They're making energy continuously. They're the reason why kidney cells can stay alive. But in CKD, something happens. Something happens to them. There's an important structure in your cat's kidney called a nephron. The nephron has all these mitochondria that powers it, right? So what happens is, in CKD, you lose these nephrons. So the kidney cannot do its job as good as it did before. And as it loses these nephrons, one by one, the remaining ones have to take up the slack. The workload is now theirs. And because there's more work for them to do, they become stressed. They take more of the workload, which takes more oxygen, and they've got to do more filtering and more absorbing, and this takes more energy. And these little mitochondria, which is the power plant of the cells in your kidney, what happens when we ask them to produce way more energy than they were designed to do? They start to break, they start to shut down. And this is when CKD transforms into an energy disease. It's kind of like running a car's engine, and then the engine becomes mistuned. My old school car, it's a 1974 Toyota Celica. It takes tuning, and if you don't tune it up right, first thing that you notice is there's issues with performance, issues with power, and issues with exhaust. The same thing is true with the mitochondria in your cat's kidneys. Well, it's like there's more exhaust being created. There's more toxic products coming out of these little mitochondria. They're called reactive oxygen species. And then let's go back to the car. Imagine you're running this car and the exhaust is getting higher, and then it's in the garage, and then someone closes the garage door. All of a sudden the whole environment is toxic. Don't do that at home. This is what's going on within the kidney, a flood of toxicity from these misaligned power plants. The environment itself becomes toxic. This is CKD. This is CKD progression. Why is it CKD progression? Because it drives inflammation. And this drives something called fibrosis. We talk a lot about that in 9 Lives, 1 Mission. Fibrosis is the issue. Now, how do we know this is true? So we're gonna take a 10-second detour, a very nerdy detour for your cat's sake. We're gonna talk about TGF-beta. What does this stand for? Well, I'll tell you what it doesn't stand for. It does not stand for, thank God it's Friday and your boyfriend's a beta. Nope, it stands for transformative growth factor beta. What does that even mean? Well, in the 1980s, scientists were studying cancer cells, and they noted there was this molecule that could transform these cells. They called it transforming growth factor beta. But the scientists realized something important. They realized that this molecule, TGF-beta, wasn't a cancer cell in and of itself. What it was is the body's master controller for healing. But it takes the healing to another level. It says, if you can't heal this way, lay down scar tissue. And when you lay down scar tissue, think about how scar tissue feels like on a cut, right? Now think about a lot of scar tissue developing in your cat's kidneys. This is literally what fibrosis means. This is the reason why the kidneys are turning into nothingness. So TGF-beta tells us why a kidney that is under constant stress and injury doesn't want to heal, why it enters into this path of fibrosis. So here's the good news. Your cat's body is very intelligent. It's got this thing called mitophagy. What does that even mean? It means when these little power plants within the kidneys start to get damaged and break, this process called mitophagy tags it, identifies it, repackages it, and recycles it. So these little power plants that are causing some issues can be nullified, ameliorated. Think of it as a garbage removal system for damaged power plants. So when mitophagy is working, there's less inflammation, less reactive oxygen species, less fumigation in the kidney, like a mistuned engine, right? And then TGF-beta chills out. But if mitophagy fails, inflammation continues, bad mitochondria are allowed to stay and create toxic products, fibrosis is maintained because TGF accelerates, it increases, and CKD progression is maintained. The outcomes are worse for CKD. Now conversely, when mitophagy is supported, outcomes are better. There's less oxidative stress. There's less damage to the kidney. There's a downregulation of TGF-beta. Cats have all the same issues that cause fibrosis in their kidney. The endpoint is the same for them. We know they have oxidative stress. We know they have these fibrotic pathways. We know there's TGF-beta that's building up in their kidney cells. We know the muscle loss they experience and the uremic toxins all percolate and create these issues. And so, just like other species, everything is pointing to issues with mitochondria and mitophagy for their CKD progression. In fact, this may partly explain just what we see clinically with CKD cats and why some cats can progress much faster than others. And what this means is this: CKD isn't just about holding on to the nephrons that you've got left, it's about making sure that their power plants are working as efficiently as possible and that the cleanup system is up to snuff. Maybe better antioxidant strategies, maybe things that bind out certain toxins within the body, maybe literally medications that protect mitochondria. But this is all very early science. So what do we do for our cats in this situation? We know their progression is through scar tissue in the kidney, this pathway called fibrosis. And we know the signal that causes this scarring is TGF-beta. And in CKD, TGF-beta doesn't like to turn down. It doesn't like to turn off. Well, in the BITE strategy, which is the way I manage CKD in cats, all of these techniques tend to lower fibrosis within the kidney. This is going to be things that moderate out this effect of TGF-beta. So everything we do right now in the BITE strategy potentially lowers that signal. This is good news. In 9 Lives, 1 Mission, I talk about giving the mitochondria a job to do. And lo and behold, here is some research that supports that. One major way I do that in the BITE strategy is called the gut-kidney axis. So important, right? And that's the foundation. It's why I call it the foundation. And you build upon that foundation with other treatment protocols that I've outlined. Each step lowers oxidative stress. Each step lowers TGF-beta. Each step allows your cat's kidneys to show their true health potential. So when you are caring for a cat with CKD, I want you to know, it's not just about the lab values. It's not just about a food. It's not just about a supplement. It's also about energy. It's satisfying your cat's energy requirements on a cellular level. And I show you how to do that using the BITE strategy. And that's why I wrote 9 Lives, 1 Mission, to give you this plan. Link is below. And that's also why I did a video course, so you can walk with me through that process. And there are even options where you can talk to me one-on-one. Using the BITE strategy, you're already aligned where science is going. And remember, like and subscribe, share this video with anyone you think could get great value from this for their cat. Till next time.